Better late than never, I suppose. I've been sleeping on this gold. Now I'm woken, boy, I'm fucking on it. Pulling shit together with my bro. Yeah, he keep me on my toes. So we cooking cause we fucking hungry. She just want a nigga with some goals. But this world so fucking cold. When she find love, won't know how to hold it. I've been feeling anxious on the low. I just leave it to the most. Life's a gamble and we never folding. Better yet, I welcome every wager and he take us from a line. Watch me make your money mine. Someone told me time is money, but see really that's a lie. Cause that dollar I can get it back, but seconds they go by. But don't get it twisted, I'm with it if it's by the check. I need compensation and all deposits come direct. Baby needed some shoes, lady need her a house, but I ain't counting the seconds, I'm just making it count. I woke up and decided to let them talk and I'ma be about it. And through it all, girl, I'ma be a rider for you. That's why I'm out here trying to change a dollar to two. And for the record, it's way more deep than what you expected. I'm playing chess when they saying king me, I'm yelling check me. I'm moving with a purpose and it's such a blessing. And in the end, it's worth it cause there's no regretting. I'm having a breakthrough. Break rules, yeah, that's something that the greats do. Ooh, don't ever let the evil take you. Yeah, I'm at the top and it's a break it. They'll get it into the last straw. You know today could be your last call. I don't ask permission, I blast off. Any and everything's a go. Yeah. I'm living proof when you doing you. They gon' love you or they won't. That's for them to choose. It don't matter if they don't. Lord help them, I try myself, but they out of reach. I count my blessings and say my prayers before I go to sleep. I get it, come home and shower, rinse and repeat. And cutting ties with any nigga dragging his feet. I'm cutting a line a couple times, I'm trying to eat. When you align, you never mind opinion and sheet. You wanna know that struggle, look into my eyes. You wanna know that pain, look into my eyes. You wanna know that feeling that you feel when there's a million reasons telling you to quit, but instead you rise. You're guaranteed to lose if you never try. And this is something I refuse to the day I die. Yeah, I find a purpose and it's such a blessing. And in the end it's worth it cause it's no regret. I'm having a breakthrough. Break rules, yeah, that's something that the greats do. Ooh, don't ever let the evil take you. Yeah, I'm at the top and it's a break it. They'll get it into the last straw. You know today could be your last call. I don't ask permission, I blast off. Any and everything's a go. Yeah. I'm having a breakthrough. Break rules, yeah, that's something that the greats do. Ooh, don't ever let the evil take you. Yeah, I'm at the top and it's a break it. They'll get it into the last straw. You know today could be your last call. I don't ask permission, I blast off. Any and everything's a go.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Football Friday here at the Uninformed Fan. We'd like to welcome in all of our new viewers, all of you that have commented on our Instagram, YouTube videos. We appreciate your interaction, whether positive, where you think that we're spitting facts, or whether you think we're talking shit. Doesn't matter. We appreciate the interactions and we appreciate the feedback. And you will continue to see your feedback appreciated and shown here on the show. It is Friday. We got a big day to break down. We got a busy weekend. Lots of stuff going on. I'm fired up. Been up since early. Been doing a lot of memorabilia stuff. I'm actually dressed to impress today. That's right. It's business time. We're ready to rock and roll. Jeffrey, how are we feeling over there today? Friday.
I'm feeling the seafoam green over there. You know,
like
that's a nice color on you. I got a shirt that's that color as well too, and it pops. You know, it definitely makes it happen. Where's your memorabilia stuff at today?
We are going to be in Apopka, Florida. Today, yeah. We'll I'll by the end of the show, I'll plug that at the end, tell you exactly where we're going to be at. So hopefully, some of you guys can come out there. We're bringing a lot of stuff, over $15,000 in inventory riding with us today. So lots of good stuff going to be out there for you.
Yeah, just don't tell anybody what kind of car you drive if you don't get jacked on the way there. But
Black Betty's rolled it with 17 hollow points, and there's another clip right next to it, my friend. It's Florida, baby.
Thomas Memorabilia and Live Life Media Group for the support that we always appreciate. Thank you so much for always taking care of us.
Well, I'm ready. You ready to rip into this?
Hop in. Let's go.
So we got our first game. We're obviously a little recap here of Thursday night football. The Giants go into the 49ers and just get absolutely decimated. 12-30. They did have a little bit of life there for like 5 minutes. And there was a time where it was like, ooh, maybe. And then CMC and Brock Purdy just completely shut them down. I'll tell you, Ricky, I'm assuming that you're not going to show up in the chat today because of this. But just know it's all welcome, bro. We're wrong at times. You're wrong at times. We're here to comfort each other. This is a game that we talked about. I thought 10.5 points was a lot. However, I didn't see anything out of the Giants other than those 2 quarters. Again, we had 6 quarters of bad football, 2 quarters of good football. I needed to see just a little bit more out of them before I was ready to buy back. And let me tell you, I am not buying back on them whatsoever. Even with Saquon Barkley in the lineup, man, this Giants team looks bad. They look really, really bad. We're now 1-2. I don't think that we're quite at fire sale yet, but man, it's just the wheels. There's a few other teams that are obviously the wheels are coming off first, but the wheels are wobbling in New York lately. The wheels are wobbling.
Especially when you haven't looked good in your 2 losses, and obviously you do play the Cowboys and the Niners, so those are 2 tough teams. So we give you the benefit of the doubt there. But then you also had the game against the Cardinals where they were literally taking you out by the woodshed for the first half, and you come storming back in the second to win the game, and they just do Cardinal stuff when trying to tank for a pick. I thought I loved the under in this game, which did hit, but I did have it with the Giants +10 because I thought there was like a nice 24-17 that could come in here and land for us. Fortunately, that doesn't happen. Daniel Jones can't score. It was 17-12. I thought I was a genius. I was at work. Thought, oh, man, this is awesome. Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel. The connection is still there. I was wondering about Deebo going into this game because I feel like he hasn't been very live or active this year. And then to see him just kind of go off the way he did, I think he had one of those catches where he caught the ball and nobody could tackle him.
Yeah,
which is what Deebo does. And so Brock Purdy looks great, 310 yards, 2 tutties, no interceptions as well too, which is always key for those quarterbacks.
Well, I think with the emergence of Brandon Ayuk, and not necessarily the emergence, we all knew that he's a speedster and he can do. He just got more of the targets, and I think that is indicative of the San Francisco offense is spreading the ball around with all of those weapons that we talked about. And I've been really, really impressed with Brock Purdy here. He's not the flashiest quarterback, but I watched him put a couple of teardrops in there last night that were just absolutely touched to perfection. It was a great, great throw. You got CMC running the ball. The offensive line for San Francisco 49ers has just opened up gaping wide holes that even I could fit through. And, when you get a speedster like Christian McCaffrey that can cut on a dime and cut through those holes, bro, you don't stand a chance. And then when they needed it, when they had to have the little third, little dinker dunk, Brock Purdy put it right where it was. It wasn't like a lot of times on these 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8s. It wasn't like they were throwing 9 and 10 yards. They were still throwing it 4 to 5 yards, and the receivers were doing the rest. So, shout out to the San Francisco team. Man, they look tough. And the Giants, just looking ahead at the Giants, and I talked about fire sale. I think it's got to be coming. You got the Seahawks next. Then you go to the Miami after that. Then you go to Buffalo, and then you go to the Commanders. I mean, this could be a rough start here for the Giants. And, you lose a few more of these games. You talk about Saquon that was on the 1-year tag. You gave Daniel Jones the money. What do you do here, man? I mean, you got a lot of work to rebuild this team. When we thought maybe at the end of last year, they were only like a piece or 2 away, right? I mean, we saw a lot of glimpses out of them that showed that they could be a good football team. Whew, they have really gone downhill, gone backwards fast.
Yeah. Not great.
Not great.
And I don't know how it gets better from here. So.
I don't either. I was thinking about this as far as the fire sale. Other than Saquon Barkley, who's buying what? Who do they have to fire sale?
I don't know. It's a great question.
That is a great question, and maybe that's why I'm predicting them to lose maybe the next 3 games as well, because they just don't have those playmakers. But we'll see what happens going into it. I was really upset that I couldn't. Obviously, everybody in the fantasy football world knows now that I was trying to pick up Brock Purdy. When somebody dropped him, I don't know. That just sucks when somebody drops somebody on a Monday or a Tuesday, and if they have a Thursday game, you cannot pick them up for that week. It's just pain. So I guess I'll just have to wait for the waiver wire and see what happens.
I'm trying to think. Did Jalen Hyatt did he get hurt or something? I don't understand. Anyway, I don't know. I don't understand the Giants sometimes. I'll talk to TJ on the sidebar because I don't think either of them are going to be here today.
Yeah, I don't think that. They were. Obviously, the fantasy football chat was active this morning. Woke up with 65 messages. there was another 30 or something this morning. So obviously everyone's up. I just, some people just don't want to listen to the music, this early in the morning. And that's the beautiful thing about the podcast, guys, is you can literally watch and listen to it any time of the day. We're here for you 24/7. Whatever you need, just let us know. Comment, we comment back 24/7. We're here for you. Well, speaking of teams that are going the wrong way and just absolute shit shows, the Chicago Bears go into Kansas City this week as a 12.5-point dog. Now, for those of you that don't follow the Bears, this has been an absolute shit show of a week, as if it could get any worse. Justin Fields calls out his offensive coordinator and coaches as far as play calling, admits that he is playing robotic and just not himself, which we can all agree that that is what it is, because he's not running, and that's who he is. Furthermore, the Bears defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, resigns, among rumors that the FBI have raided his house, have raided Hallis Hall. And we don't know what's going on still. In the middle of all of that, they released Nathan Peterman, apparently to try to poach an offensive lineman from someone's practice squad. That falls apart. They re-signed Nathan Peterman the same day. And then we see a picture of them at practice, and Justin Fields and Luke Getzky are having a nice fake hug to supposedly bury the hatchet. I put this out there. I don't think I've ever seen a team fall faster and harder. Now, I know that Ian said that the Washington Nationals, but the Nationals won the World Series and then went to shit. Like, this is just a team that just can't get it together. But I will say this. Usually when stuff like this happens, right, it goes one of two ways. They just go way, way down the rabbit hole, or all of a sudden the team gets together and rallies around each other and says, let's play some football, and they go out and shock the world. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I do like the Bears to cover here. We will not take it, but I do like the Bears here to cover. I will say the other thing that I didn't mention on there is Jordan Brisker liked a tweet, I think from Stephen A. Smith, that said the Bears are absolute shit. So, yeah.
Not great.
This is not what you want to see out of a franchise here that's 0-2 going into Kansas City as a 12.5-point dogs. The biggest thing that I take away from here, and we talked about the Kansas City struggles on offense a little bit here. We obviously lost Eric Bellamy over. And the key point to me is Matt Nagy is the one that's over there. I don't know if he's calling the plays, if he's the offensive coordinator. He might be. I don't know. But we've seen him in Chicago, and we know how garbage he can be. So that gives us a little bit of hope, I guess. So I do like the Bears here, 12.5, to go into Kansas City. I would like to see the team rally around, shock the world, but I am taking Kansas City in my survivor.
I didn't really mind the Justin Fields comments about the coaching stuff because of the way that the question was brought to him and the context in which he answered it in terms of, maybe I'm struggling because of coaching because I'm trying to overthink things too much and I'm just trying to go out there and react. So, and then of course he has to call the media back, a couple hours later to just clarify his comments that he wasn't trying to say that it's coaching and, the whole thing is a mess. And, there's a lot of things about Justin Fields that, I'm sure as Bears fans might frustrate you or, you want to see more of him and more of who he is as a person. He's very bland at times, very one note.
Very melancholy.
Very, very blah. And so, listen, we'll see how he responds on the football field this Sunday. Listen, you're by all means welcome to take this game. I guess for me, if I was going to bet something, it would maybe be the over here, just because it's 48. And I do feel like if the Bears are going to be in it, they're going to be competing a little bit, so I might take something like that. But
let me tell you, the lock of it would pick up Travis Kelce in every one of your fantasy leagues. I don't care how daily fantasy. I don't care how much he costs. Figure out how to get around it, because let me tell you, he will be wide open the entire game. 100% guaranteed. Book it. He will
Travis
be.
Kelce,
he will go off.
Touchdown score.
Oh
Tyson
my God!
Thomas.
He might have 2 to 4. He might have 2 or 4 touchdowns. Who knows? We'll see what happens over there. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. We'll see how the Bears react. Are they gonna stick around? Are they gonna cower and fall into oblivion? We shall find out on Sunday. 4:30 game. Could be Fox game of the week.
Yeah, I gotta go to work.
That would be something. Sticking in the NFC North, San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers come into Minnesota here. Two teams that are absolutely backs against the wall. Two teams that are absolutely really desperate for a win. We got some seriously bad coaching on one side. We got some seriously bad defense on the other side. Whew, a lot to unpack here. The line was even. It has moved to Minnesota -1. And I think that is just simply for the fact of the public moving it. I don't think that has anything to do with sharps. This to me is a very, very challenging one. I know Jeff said he was going to convince me to take the Chargers by the end of the week. I'm still not there. I just think this is a stay away game for me. I think that it could go lopsided really quick either way. I just that's the way I see this one.
I just, and I heard somebody say this, and I think it's probably pretty spot on. Who's going to have the ball last wins the game. Because it's just going to be
that way a lot with Minnesota, isn't it?
And just like whoever has the ball in the fourth quarter with a minute left is going to go on to win this game. And good luck trying to handicap and think who that's going to be. So I typically what happens, I have a lot of opinions in the very first part of the week. And then once I start sifting through information and getting some other opinions and different stuff like that, I start seeing things from a different light. And I agree this is a stay away game. I will still bet the Chargers +1 personally because I just think they come out and they win, and I think Minnesota stinks. But at least in Circa, we're definitely not going to take this game.
How does Cam Akers fit into the Vikings for you?
Like this week?
Yeah,
I don't know, and it's so weird trade too. Like they just drafted a running back. You have Madison. You got rid of Dalvin to give Madison all the work, and now you trade for Cam Akers.
Nobody got hurt, right?
No, it's just continuing to muddy the waters over there, and. Listen, somebody was like, oh, Cam Akers to the Vikings, and they got a tackle or something like that. And I go, neither of them play defense. So who cares? Minnesota's offense can be as good as it wants to be, but you can't stop a runny nose. What are you going to do? So, yeah, I don't know. I do like the Chargers here. I think they're a more desperate football team. And if you're just to look at these rosters on paper, the Chargers way outshine the Minnesota Vikings. So give me the more talented football team.
I think to your point as well, I think that the offense from the Chargers mimics the offense from the Vikings. I think they're both explosive offenses, both good quarterbacks, good receivers that can move the ball down the field. It's just going to be which defense makes the stop, which defense makes that one important stop to win this game. And like Jeff said, if you can predict that, then you better start picking out some lottery numbers because that's about the same odds, in my opinion, of this one. So moving on to Washington, we got the Buffalo Bills coming into town. The Buffalo Bills are giving 6 points here against the Commanders at home. I know that you like this game as far as the Commanders being able to cover in the Bills' offense and Josh Allen struggles here.
Do you have 6 or 6.5? I have 6.5 is what I'm looking at, which is an important number, I feel like.
It's 6.5 on a circle.
I have. So we got
Commanders plus 6.5.
I think Commanders plus 6.5 is a great line here. Listen, Josh Allen historically will struggle against big physical defensive lines that can really get after the quarterback. This is exactly what Washington is, right? Washington has those guys with Daron Payne and Allen and Chase Young on that line to make Josh Allen's day just a living hell. Plus, I don't know, Josh Allen being in Washington just seems like a fall apart game for them, for the Bills. I will take the plus 6.5. I might sprinkle a little bit on a money line parlay that includes Washington as well too, with a bunch of dogs in it, and just kind of see what happens because you never know.
I mean, comparable quarterback wise, they're both pretty comparable. Josh Allen at 94.5 QBR and Sam Howell at 95. Sam Howell's done
big throws.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen 510 yards so far. Sam Howell 401, 4 TDs to 3, and then of course Josh Allen has 3 interceptions to Sam Howell's only 1. And Sam Howell's been kind of taking the same recipe from Brock Purdy that I've seen so far, being smart with the ball, taking what's available, and making smart decisions. And that's really not all you need. But that's really the basics of quarterback football in the NFL. Don't turn the ball over. Take what the defense gives you. Take your shots when you can. And I think that, if you're a Commander fan, you have to be happy with what you've seen so far from Sam Howell.
Absolutely.
I think him and Desmond Ridder are probably the two that have kind of moved the needle a little bit the most as far as that rookie class quarterbacks. But I agree. I think that the Buffalo, anything that we've seen on Buffalo, what?
We're going to calm down on the Desmond Ridder love.
Well, when you group him in with all of those rookie quarterbacks, he's outperformed them.
Okay.
I mean, those are just stats, Jeff. I know that your feelings don't care about my stats, but those are just stats. That's all.
They don't.
I know they don't. I completely lost my train of thought of what I was going to say at this point. But back to the Buffalo. It's a tough one here. Which team is going to show up? Is the Commanders going to come up? Their strong defense. Which offense is going to show up for Buffalo? Is Josh Allen going to be the turnover machine? It's definitely going to be a close one. So the 6.5 there might be a good number.
I'm saying you're giving me like 7 points, like to a home team. You know what I mean? It seems like a lot, and Buffalo has their problems.
It does seem like a lot, and that's what you have to. It seems like it's just dangling out there like a little fish. Got to be quicker.
I'm gonna bite.
I know you are. Let's get on to the next one here. We got Saints Packers. The New Orleans Saints heading into Green Bay here, and the Packers are now on Circa are favored by 2 points.
Line has moved a little bit toward the Saints in the past day.
No, actually it was Packers. Actually, yeah, on score it's -1.5. I think it started off at 1, didn't it?
I think it was somewhere around. I mean, I have -1.5 that I'm staring at.
I have yet to see the Saints, anything from the Saints that shows me that they're a competitive football team. Yeah, I realize they're 2-0. That defense is supposedly so staunch. I haven't seen anything that would convince me otherwise. Is this Jordan Love's first start in Lambeau?
Where did they play week 1? It was in Chicago. Yeah, it is Jordan Love's first start in Lambeau. As well. Listen, and I'll say this: they're getting back healthy as well too. Aaron Jones missed last week. Christian Watson has now returned in a limited form to practice. We'll see if he practices today. If he does, it's a great sign that he's going to be able to play this week. I just think listen, I like their weapons. I like their line. Looks like Bakhtiari might be back as well too. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. But listen, I think they have a better roster. I think they have a better team. I think they have a better quarterback, honestly, than the New Orleans Saints. So give me the Green Bay Packers, and basically what's a pick 'em anyway. You can lay -125 on the money line instead of taking the -1.5 and -110. Yeah, absolutely. Give me.
I like them at -2 as well for our circle line. So that'll probably be one of ours. Yeah. Good one there. So Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons 2-0 heading into Detroit, and Detroit is -3 here. We started to see a little bit of life out of that Falcons offense. I mean, we can all agree that running game is absolutely staunch with that running back room that they have between Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. Did you see I changed my fantasy name?
No, what is it? I didn't see it.
To Infinity and Bijan.
It's funny. Chad just texted our group and said New Orleans is 16-1 when Taysom Hill carries the ball at least 7 times. In a game. I didn't see that text. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you left that group. I forgot.
Yeah, somebody bullied me out of that group right there.
I didn't bully you out of the group.
Yeah, you did. Harassment.
Let's get this straight.
Harassment.
No, I did not harass you.
I told you to stop. I told you to stop numerous times. I'd had enough. And so then you just kept continuing. No means no, Jeffrey, and stop means stop. Okay.
Sometimes no means yes.
Some people just need to hear this, and you needed to hear it, and that's all. So
listen, there was no bullying. Don't try to put that label on me.
Bullying.
Like I'm some kind of a bully.
You're lucky the 3-time can't chime in right now, because as a Bears fan, he agreed that was bullying.
Jeremy, can you chime in here? Can you please chime in? I know you're on the golf course right now. I know you're probably on the 4th hole. You're looking for your ball because you hit it so far right. But if you have a chance in the woods,
if you even defend him after what he just said about your golfing game right there, I don't know what to tell you.
Actually, I was in the middle of the fairway, the fourth fairway there, Jeffrey. But
okay. Nice
yeah,
drive.
I don't know if it was bullying.
Third shot.
I just know it wasn't nice.
When somebody asks you politely to stop, that they're on their breaking point, and you continue to do it, that's bullying.
I wasn't sending anything bad out. It was just.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I will provide what type of shambles information that the Bears. I will provide that for you, and I don't need you to keep piling it on.
What was the one that was the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back? Is it the one that was Lovie Smith? They got fired when he went 10-6.
We're doing it again. I can end this. I can end this podcast right now. Right now. Getting back to what Chad said about Taysom Hill, we talked about this a little bit in game between me and you on the group chat at the Saints. And the way that the Saints use Taysom Hill and use him as a runner and all this, and it just amazes me that nobody used Tim Tebow in that same fashion. Because he's
Yeah.
bigger. I mean, I don't know if he's quicker, but he's definitely bigger, and he could just run over people.
Yeah, but Tebow didn't want to accept that role. You can't say that when Tebow straight up said, "I don't want to play tight end. I don't want to do
What are you talking about? He went back to Jacksonville as a tight end.
Okay,
I think
originally when he was in his heyday.
Correct. He wanted to go in as a quarterback, and he did go in as a quarterback and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game as a quarterback in Denver, and then just kind of went by the wayside. I'm just saying at that point in time, just like that, you're telling me if somebody came to Tim Tebow and said, "Hey, look, I know nobody wants to have you as a quarterback, but this is how we'd like to use you." Basically the same way that Florida used you. You're going to run a lot. You're going to take it out of the Wildcat. There's no doubt in my mind that kid would still be in there. You think he's still going to say, "No, I'm good"?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're wrong, but that happens a lot. So back to the Falcons and Lions. So I kind of like the Lions here at home to bounce back. Falcons haven't shown me anything that I feel like that the Detroit Lions get it back on track here. I feel like they pick up the dub. 3 points, we'll see. I feel like it's definitely going to be a close game, but I feel like the Lions get it done here.
Okay. I don't know. This to me is like going to land within the number of 3 because you have a team that's just going to run the ball down their throat and try to control clock and keep that defense on the field. The amount of injuries that the Detroit Lions have as well, too, I think is going to be tough. So I don't lean either way on this game. I don't have a problem with Detroit -3. I don't have a problem with Atlanta +3. I think those are both viable numbers.
I agree. So it's definitely gonna be a 3-point. It could be a 2-point or 1-point game.
Yeah, no, that's like I think it's like a field goal to end the game, and somebody wins by 1 or 2. One of those weird kind of scenarios where the 3 actually comes in here. So yeah, to me, I won't bet this game at all. Not one bit.
It's just again, everybody was ready to crown the Lions here, right, to start the season. Everybody, they're winning this, they're doing that, they're doing this. Of course, they go in, they do beat the Chiefs the opening game, which obviously nobody really expected that. That was a great win, especially in Arrowhead. Then, they lose to Seattle at home. Now they're home again with the Falcons. We called the Seattle thing. I just don't think that they're there yet. I think that they're definitely on the way. But I don't think that this team will really turns it on to week like 5 or 6. You got to give this team a little bit more synergy to go. Not that I think that the Falcons are any more cohesive. To your point, I just think it's one of those ones where you just kind of,
Yeah, we'll see what they are with Jameson Williams when he comes back in, I think, week 6 or 7 as well, too, off suspension. So that'll be interesting as well.
So Titans-Browns. The Tennessee Titans headed into Cleveland after their shit show in Pittsburgh. The Browns are -3.5 here. No Nick Chubb now. I did have the pleasure of watching that injury. I was watching shorts on one of the platforms, and it just went right there. It didn't give you a prelim anything. It was literally him starting the. Yeah, wow, what an injury, man. Whew.
Sucks.
That was bad. I did watch it 2 more times, but. I just had to make sure, I knew exactly what I was seeing. I don't know. You think here, so obviously Ford stepped in, really, but pretty much took over right where Chubb left off after that game. Had a great performance. They obviously signed Kareem Hunt, who is familiar with the team. I think that's just more of a, let's give Ford some blows here. Ford's going to take the majority of the work. The big question for me is Deshaun Watson. Can Deshaun Watson pull it together, make the right decisions, and get out of his own way? Can we ever see him go back to that Texans 1-year performance where he just looked absolutely amazing? It's one of those things where I just need to see it to believe it again. I just think that the Browns are just in shambles, which I did watch that Johnny Manziel documentary. I don't know if you watched that. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, dude.
I don't know if it's good, but it's like,
well, it was
they go through the whole thing. And then
it was a good watch.
The end of it is Johnny Football drinking a beer. It's like we got no progression in the story. You know what I mean? We just went from A to A. I love the Cleveland Browns in this spot here. I think coming off of that loss, that let's be honest, they should have beat Pittsburgh by 2 touchdowns, and if they do, we're talking about a completely different light. Deshaun Watson just needs to not turn the ball over, get outside the pocket, get out of bounds. I think that the story of this game, though, is going to be the defensive line of the Cleveland Browns just absolutely kicking the shit out of the offensive line of the Tennessee Titans, who are not very good right now as well, too. I don't think Tannehill's going to have any time to get the ball down the field to any of his wide receivers. I like the -3 here. I know it stinks. I know people don't want it, or, Cleveland's not fun to bet. Nobody wants to bet on Cleveland, but back at home, I think this is a great number, and I will be putting my money on the Cleveland Browns.
It is 3.5 on Circa.
On Circa 3.5. Okay.
That hook gets that hook, man.
Yeah,
I definitely can see this being, again, just a 3-point game. So we'll see what happens between now and tomorrow afternoon when we put on our picks to see if we change that. Don't forget, if you are looking for our Circa picks, we are hitting at 80% for the
70%.
70%. We had 80% last week, 60% the week before. We're sitting right in the middle at 70% there. We are in 403rd place or something like that. So make sure you check that out. Those are released specifically on Instagram and Twitter. So make sure that you follow those. They're usually released sometime about Saturday afternoon. So if you're looking for those, make sure that you tune in for that. Next game we have is the Patriots-Jets. Now, we both really like the Patriots here. We talked about them, or at least I did, as far as being one of the best 0-2 teams that are out there. This line has actually moved against us a little bit here. It started out Patriots -3. It is now down to 2.5. On Circa, it is 2.5 as well. I absolutely love this line. I don't understand it. From what I've seen for the Patriots versus the Jets, I don't know. I feel like this is just one of those things, though, where you see a team that is absolutely reeling on their heels, as the Jets are, and the Patriots, who aren't necessarily reeling, but yet they're 0-2, right? That they put up some monster numbers on offense, but a lot of that was trailing. I feel like, though, I still feel confident in taking the Patriots here, -2.5, but I feel like this is just one of those games where it's one of those gotcha lines. Where the Jets finally put their defense together. We've bet on the Jets defense for a couple weeks in a row. They let us down in Dallas. I don't know. I still like the Patriots here at 2.5, but I just feel like it's one of those crazy lines, man. It's not like where I had the Dolphins, -3 against the Patriots. Don't overthink it. I'm overthinking this. I'm overthinking this line 100%.
Don't overthink it, for the simple fact of, listen, the Patriots have actually looked viable on offense where the Jets have not. If you're looking at coaching-wise, Bill Belichick, what's the number one thing that Belichick does? He's going to try to take away whatever your greatest strength is or what you're trying to do, and he's going to exploit your biggest weakness. Well, we know the biggest weakness for the New York Jets is their offensive line, and I expect tons of pressure on Zach Wilson. I expect tons of, no time in the pocket for Zach Wilson, and I expect Belichick to exploit that. So, yeah, give me the Patriots absolutely against the Jets, -2.5.
Broncos Nation, we are riding into Miami. Down with the high-flying offensive Tua and Tyreek Hill. The line, however, is only Dolphins -6.5, so we're basically talking about a tutty here. This is another one that we looked at that has got trap game written all over it. You got the Denver Broncos that are absolutely reeling across every single piece of what you could say football is relevant. You got the Dolphins that are rolling on absolutely every piece. Maybe the defense still has to step it up a little bit. This is just one of those look-ahead trap games to me. If you had to put a gun to my head and say, I would probably say the Broncos here. I don't know why. It just feels like a trap game to me.
Sharps are all over the Broncos, +6.5. Russell Wilson, in their eyes, is being severely undervalued for what he's done the first two games and how he's looked. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. This will be an interesting game. Bradley Chubb going against his former team in the Broncos, welcome them to Miami. How will that defensive line match up against the offensive line of the Broncos? Will Russell Wilson have time to find Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton? I tend to lean Broncos +6.5 here, though. I do think it'll be a good game. I do think that Denver will be able to score points. And listen, they have a pretty good defense as well, too. So give me a team that can score points and probably the better defense of the two.
I'm really curious as to your comment there about this, the Sharps and undervaluing Russell Wilson, what he's done the first two games. What has he done the first two games?
Well, 300 yards and whatever against
3 touchdowns
against the Commanders, and
with an interception and 7 sacks.
Yeah,
well, that's what this is.
Defensive line is pretty real.
Yeah, that's what even going back to Las Vegas, looking at his stat line, he got sacked twice there. 177 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. I mean, obviously the yards aren't there, but I guess you could say the passing touchdowns are there. So yeah, maybe he is heating up. Maybe he is heating up. Maybe he is heating up.
Yeah,
He's starting to get used to the offense.
I saw this thing. Xavier Howard has like 3 or 4 different women pregnant right now. The cornerback for the Miami Dolphins. So maybe there's a little distraction there as well on the outside. With a lot going on in life.
Bro,
so
what are you doing? 3 women pregnant? And we're talking about
Yeah.
the same time, right?
they're all pregnant right now.
Dude, practice your pullout game, bro. What are you doing? You're an NFL star. That thing should be wrapped up tighter than a Christmas present. Oh my
A
goodness.
star too. Xavier is a star. He's like one of the best paid cornerbacks in the league. Hey,
Unbelievable,
listen.
man. I mean, I guess do your thing.
God bless. Life is a beautiful thing,
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, whew. I guess you just spread your seed throughout this lovely world,
Yeah.
Watch it all come to fruition.
Lots of legacies.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of child support.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Colts Ravens -8 here. A lot of questions in regards to the Colts here. Somebody who has Anthony Richardson on his fantasy team still really don't know. I don't know if he even practiced. I have it's crazy to me that you look on the ESPN app and you look for an update and they make you watch a 15-second video with 45 seconds of advertisement before you can actually just see did he practice or not. So I can't see anything on here as far as whether he's actually practiced or not.
Tyson, just go on X, right? Go on to X, open it up, and you're going to type in Anthony Richardson. And what's going to happen?
It's a lot of work, dude.
I'm doing it right now, and I can give you an update.
I appreciate that. As we wait for that update out of Jeffrey, the Colts are pretty banged up, and every time that a quarterback especially has a concussion, you're always worried about him getting hit, and is he going to be able to take the whole game? I'm looking starting Jimmy G straight in the face for this week here. So we'll see what happens. And then, of course, I have Jacoby Myers as well, so we'll see if he plays as well.
It's going to be extremely challenging for Anthony Richardson to play in week 3, considering he still has not cleared concussion protocol.
Yeah, so that would be give me the Ravens all day long.
Absolutely. This is like Lamar just goes crazy on them, and the Ravens roll, by a lot here. Listen, if you have Anthony Richardson, you're looking for somebody to pick up and play in your league. One guy who I would probably guarantee is out there is going to be CJ Stroud. And we can get into this game if you want to, but the Jacksonville Jaguars playing the Houston Texans. If you look at CJ Stroud's numbers through the first 2 weeks, he's been really good. 300 passing yards, multiple touchdowns. He has weapons. If you look at his weapons, you look at Tank Dell, you look at Nico Collins, you look at Dalton Schultz over the middle, you look at a guy like Robert Woods in the slot, to go along with Pierce and also Devin Singletary in the backfield. I think that, and with Larry Tunsil being back and playing in this game as well too, I think if you're looking for a replacement, I love CJ Stroud this week. I think he's going to be really cheap in DFS as well too. You can throw a cheap stack in there and load up on your superstars, which I think is pretty fun.
Yeah, well, he's not available in our league, so here I am staring Jimmy G straight in the face again, because we all know that I'm not picking up Baker Mayfield.
I don't mind Jimmy G.
I mean, it just is a Jacoby Myers plays. It's a nice little stack there. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Whatever, man. Fantasy football to me is dead already. So after the Ravens get done pounding the Colts, we got the Pound Town, the Panthers going into Seattle, 12th man. Yeah, this once again, he's not the QB's not playing, right? Bryce Young.
Did you want to touch on the Texans and the Jaguars?
We already did.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
To finish out the 1:00 games? No, we didn't.
Yeah, we talked to it right after the Titans-Browns.
We didn't.
Oh, maybe we did. So let's finish out that as I skipped over that. So we have the Texans going into Jags. Jacksonville's favored by 8.5. I know that you brought up an amazing stat about Trevor Lawrence here. I'll let you just fill that one through.
0-5 against the spread when being a favorite at home so far in his career. I think the exact same thing happens here. I think 8.5 is a big number. I like the Houston offense here. I think that this game could go over the total as well. But it is a divisional game, so you usually want to stay away from that. So just give me the plus 8.5. I think I can maybe convince you of this in Circa as well. But I really like this number here. The Jags have not shown us a lot so far through 2 games. You put up 9 points against the Chiefs, and you barely squeak out a win against the Indianapolis Colts in week 1 in Anthony Richardson's debut. I need to see more out of it. I need to see Trevor Lawrence come out and be the man. I haven't seen that yet. As somebody who is heavily invested in Jacksonville in all of my fantasy leagues, I really need to see him and Ridley get back on page together as well too. So I don't know. I like this number here. I think 8.5 is a great number for Houston.
All right. So we will sidebar that and see if you can convince me about that. I mean, I don't like
Yeah.
it. I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, 8.5 is a lot of points, regardless of what you're talking about in NFL. And we talked about garbage time, and obviously the Texans are going to be down. We can both agree to that. Whether or not what kind of offense Jacksonville plays towards the end, that's just where it comes in.
Like 8.5 in a divisional game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yep. So as we talked about before, the Carolina Panthers are heading into the Seahawks with the 12th man. Seahawks favored by 6 here. This, again, just seems like a line that should be a lot more, but it's not, especially with the Seahawks at home. And C.J. Stroud is not playing, correct?
C.J. Stroud is out. It will be the Red Rocket.
Ooh, that's probably
Red Rocket.
why.
Red Rocket, Andy Dalton.
And that line has moved on the public, actually, has moved to Seahawks minus 5.5 now.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's some different situations to be monitoring as well, too. Brian Burns, limited practice participant. Shaq Thompson looks like he's going to be out for the entire year. He got carted off last week. So a couple other dings on that defense as well. Listen, if they're all playing, then, yeah, I think the +6 is definitely in play here. If those guys are not playing.
6.5 on our side as well.
6.5.
Circa.
Panthers catching 6.5.
Yeah. I like the Red Rocket.
We'll put a star on that game.
Yeah.
We'll put a star in that game. Seattle, I mean, they haven't showed me a lot. I mean, they did play much better, obviously, week 2 than week 1, where they just got absolutely bitch slapped by the Rams. And Puka Nacua, I think that's how you say his name. I'm not really sure. But, yeah, I mean, they come back. They beat the Lions, which is a good win on the road. I don't know. If this was Bryce Young, I would like Seattle more. Because it's like Bryce Young, like in Seattle against the 12th man in that environment, whereas opposed to like Andy Dalton's like been here, done that, got the freaking T-shirt, been to playoff games, made runs. There's nothing that's going to phase Andy Dalton really.
I just think that crowd's not going to have much of an effect on him as it would on
Yeah, exactly. On Bryce Young, it's like, oh God, what is going on right now? Seattle can be a daunting place to play for opposing quarterbacks sometimes. I don't know.
And that Panthers defense is actually has been pretty well so far. I mean, we'll see. Like you said, we'll see.
Put a star in it.
Speaking of getting carted off, the Dallas Cowboys are going into Arizona here, and the big news coming out is Trayvon Diggs, right? Trayvon or Trayvon?
Yes.
Trayvon Diggs.
Trayvon.
Torn ACL, out for the season during practice. Once again, another injury. It just seems to me like, regardless of whether it's artificial or grass, there's just so many injuries this year. I don't recall having so many injuries through 2 weeks of football in my life. I just don't recall. You can say whatever, grass field, you can say this, you can say other. I mean, I just don't see it. I don't understand it. I don't know if it has something to do. There was something, I think it was, guy, what's the NBA coach that just got fired from TNT? Jeff Van Gundy? Jeff Van Gundy, right?
Mark Jackson?
No, Jeff Van Gundy. Yeah.
He got fired?
Yeah, he got let go. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, a lot of that had to do with his criticism of the NBA and the officiating. I'm 100% sure. But he brought up a good point. He said, I don't know what is going on, but the way that we're treating our athletes these days is not working, and somebody needs to look at the mirror and figure out why. Because when you go back into the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s, you had Michael Jordan, you had Kobe playing an entire season, right, and not getting hurt. Where you have guys now that are resting in between. It's, there's a lot more off-season programs, and people are getting hurt at a higher rate. There's more injuries. And when you look at this NFL season as well, again, so many star players have already been down. Now the Chubb injury, that's something completely different. That's just part of the game. But when we start talking about Aaron Rodgers, ACL, Trayvon Diggs, who's relatively young, not a 40-year-old man tearing his ACL, the ankle injuries that we've seen, the knee injuries with the turning, I have to agree with him. Somewhere, somehow, whatever we're doing to get these athletes ready for this is not working. Whether it's the low-cut ankles, I don't know. Remember that was a big thing, especially with Kobe, not wearing high tops. And when they went from high tops to the low tops, everybody was like, holy shit, you're going to play in those? And then all of a sudden, people start rolling an ankle here and there. Well, it's because he wears low tops. I don't know what the answer is, but there needs to be something because we're getting robbed, right? We're getting robbed of great football. And, something's got to be done, whether it is the grass, whether it's the artificial turf, whether it's the pregame stretches. I don't know. Something needs to change here, in my opinion. But yes, Trayvon Diggs out for the year. Cowboys minus 13 against Arizona. As you kind of said a little bit, Dak tends to feast on these things. The Cowboys are absolutely rolling right now, absolutely rolling. That is a big chip to lose with Diggs, but that defense is still just monstrous.
Yeah, you still got Gilmore on the other side too. I would definitely. I have the Cowboys in Survivor this week. Some people are going to tell me that I'm taking them too early. I don't really care. To me, it just seems like the most sure thing that we can have here.
More than the Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, Jeffrey's saying there's a chance.
Oh, absolutely, there's a chance. And listen, teams that go through this kind of turmoil, right, in these weeks leading up, there's always some weird shit that goes down on game day, bro. Like, there's always like an edge of like, we've been through the ringer together all week, and we're a band of brothers, and we're gonna go out there and just let it all hang out in this game. So yeah, absolutely. I think the Cowboys a survivor over the Cardinals for sure. Listen, the 13, I think they probably cover that as well too. Their defense is ridiculous. Their defensive line, Micah Parsons, looks like Lawrence Taylor out there. This is why I picked them to win that division as well. I just think that they're a really, really good football team, the way that they're built top to bottom. The Cowboys, though, always have something that happens. Somebody gets hurt. There's like the Cowboys I don't know if it's the curse of Jerry or what it is, but it's like the Cowboys cannot have nice things because they fuck it up somehow. So yeah, listen, I do like them here in this spot.
Hey, puppy.
But she's grabbing the kids' plushies.
Gotta have boundaries.
Yeah, some of these things are not cheap as well too. So
when you're big money like you, bro, I mean, it's just you just get another one.
She's also been like hopping up on the desk and grabbing stuff off the desk as well. So
we've got Mickey right now. Justice, what's up, buddy? Good to have you in here once again.
What up, Justice?
Moving on to the last game of the slate, we have, because of course, Monday Night Football, we will break down those two games on our Monday show, maybe give a quick little peek ahead. But Steelers, Raiders, and, the Raiders are favored by 2.5 in this game, and my God, I really just want nothing to do with this game. Again, the Steelers have just looked absolutely garbage. The Raiders have looked absolutely garbage. You have two garbage teams playing Sunday night primetime football, and I'm sure when they made the schedule, they weren't thinking about this. But my goodness, dude. Obviously, I have to start Jimmy G, so whatever. I guess I'll watch it. I don't know, man. I have to. There's some part of me that has to believe that the Steelers are going to show up at some point and start playing, as you said on the last show, fundamentally sound football with tackles. Kenny Pickett taking the open routes. At some point, it has to change. The Raiders, on the other hand, Jimmy G, the same thing as far as the Red Rocket. He's been around. He's been to all of them. If he has Jacoby Myers back, I think they're going to absolutely shred that secondary. But I don't know, man. I don't know. This is just a bad game. Bad game for me.
Love the Raiders minus 2.5 here. Absolutely love them. For the simple fact, Pittsburgh stinks. They can't stop the run. You have the rushing leader from last year in Josh Jacobs, who is about to go off on Sunday night, which is going to just open play action up for Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams over the top as well. So, absolutely. I don't think, like I said, Pittsburgh stinks. Offensive line, not great. You're talking about a guy like Max Crosby who's going to be out there, who's going to be able to disrupt all night long against Kenny Pickett and that O-line. For sure, give me them. Love the Raiders in this spot. Love the minus 2.5. Everybody seems to be on the Raiders. I think it opened up. Pittsburgh was a favorite when it first opened, and it has just been hammered all the way the other way.
I think it was 1.5 to start with.
Okay, so maybe it's
did Josh Jacobs get hurt against Buffalo?
I didn't see that.
I'm looking at 9 rush attempts, -2 yards.
Yeah, but that game's an outlier in my opinion. I'm not going to take that as gospel. I have Josh Jacobs in the league.
Well, I'm just thinking, we don't want to think too highly of Buffalo and what they present. They obviously didn't run the ball very well here. White only had 4 rushes for 22 yards. He only had one rush from Tucker that broke through for 34 yards.
Yeah, I mean, he still had 6 targets and 5 catches for 51 yards in that game against Buffalo too. whatever. Give me any stats you want to. I'm telling you, Pittsburgh is a team that is reeling right now. They are not together. There's no continuity there. They don't seem to be playing for each other. Absolutely, 100%. Give me the Las Vegas Raiders here.
Mitch Trubisky time. Mitchy Trubisky time. Let's make it happen. All right, so we do have a couple. Just give a little quick preview here for our Monday night. We're not going to get into too much here because obviously we're going to break it down on the show tomorrow. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. We're back in Raymond James Stadium. As I get to this here, the total is 46.5. We both talked about, we kind of like the Bucs here at 5.5. It has moved to 5. That hook would have been pretty nice, but I think it's just going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game. We'll see what Baker Mayfield can do against the Eagles, but again, I don't think that we've seen anything so far that proves that Eagles defense is as staunch and as fear as we thought. We thought that in the Cowboys, but the Cowboys defenses looked way high, way better.
So many injuries as well too to the Eagles defense as well. It's one of the reasons why I love the Bucs in this spot. What do we have them in circa at?
5.
5? I don't care. Give me 5. Give me the money line as well too. I think the Bucs win this football game. Being at home, I think the juice is back. I think this is a team that like the entire fan base is starting to kind of get behind through turmoil and adversity. Losing Brady, having to rally around Baker here. I don't know. It feels very different this year. And there's just like a quiet confidence that the entire fan base has.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm very surprised the lack of Tampa Bay fans that are wanting to go to the game. I mean, you look on there's all of the tickets that are for sale. The majority of them are all season ticket holder tickets, and they're basically giving them away. And that's the only thing that scares me is that it's not going to be a true home field advantage. If you saw towards the second half, remember the Bears game, where the Bears were in it there for like, a minute and a half when they scored, and then you heard that crowd from the other side, right? The Bears, they were actually overpowering the Bucs. Now, of course, everybody else was in the air conditioning, relaxing, right? But that's the only thing that, when we talk about that and the Bucs showing up, it is such a transient town. A lot of these people are still on the hook from Brady's tickets. So, they didn't really even want to be season ticket holders this year, but however, they're on the hook for them. So I'll be curious to see how the stadiums fill out and how the home field advantage works here, because let's say it, Bucs Nation, you're going to need it. You're going to need it. You're going to need the home crowd there. You're going to need to be able to put that on there. The last game is the Bengals and the Rams. We'll break that down on Monday. But that's obviously not a game that we're looking forward to as well.
I'm not taking a side on that game at all. I mean, maybe, I don't know, what's over under 44? I don't know. I don't know if Joe Burrow's healthy. Bengals are probably not making the playoffs. It's not good right now for the Bengals.
Maybe the Bengals just take a year off, rest everybody.
I think so. I don't mind that. The problem is you got to figure out what you're going to do with T. Higgins, so that's the only issue.
So moving into a couple of key games here as we break down our last 10 minutes of the show. We have Florida State -1.5 against Clemson. Probably going to be one of the better games of the college slate. Obviously, I think Clemson is getting a little love here just because it is at home, and then what we saw from Florida State against Boston College. But there's no way that Florida State doesn't just absolutely roll Clemson, in my opinion here.
So the opening line of this before the season started was Clemson was favored. Obviously, Clemson loses to Duke, and it's their very first game with a new offensive coordinator. I think they fumbled the ball 3 or 4 times inside the red zone. Just terrible turnovers. Unbelievable. They lose the game. Now, we fast forward 3 games into the season now, and we saw what they did last week where they just absolutely rolled. This is a tough spot, man.
I think the Florida State is going to be fired up for this game, though.
12 o'clock. I think the best thing for us is what happened last week against Boston College.
I agree.
And struggling through that game. It's going to be very similar weather. There's basically a tropical storm that's going up the East Coast right now. And that's why a lot of these games that you're looking at, you just want to make sure that you monitor, right? So they're saying that Washington game could be affected by this tropical storm as well. That's why we talked about the Washington getting 6.5 at home. You're telling me it's going to be a sloppy mess where Josh Allen is going to, not be able to take advantage of some of those things. I think it's going to be a similar game. I think the running game for Florida State has to get going. This entire thing is going to be based off the offensive line and Trey Benson getting going. And then that opens it up for Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis can get out of the pocket. He can hit Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and find Destin Hill and, find these guys in the open field. It's going to be a tough game. That being said, I think, what is it, 3 right now?
1.5.
It's 1.5?
Yeah, that's what it is on the score.
I have it at 2. Okay. I mean, I guess you're just taking the money line here. Go Noles. Let's go Florida State. 12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Get it done. I am nervous because this is basically our season right now until we have Duke and then Miami and then Florida to finish off. But yeah, this is a huge one for us. Huge one for Nole Nation. Huge one for this year. This is the year that Florida State is supposed to get back and hopefully compete for a college football playoff spot. You have to win this game if you want to do that.
Absolutely. The Charlotte 49ers, that's right. The Charlotte 49ers are headed into the swamp this week, and the Florida Gators are favored by 27.5. The Gators moved up to 25th in the rankings after their throttling of Tennessee, which always felt good. Anytime that you can make those boys sing Rocky Top all the way their ass back to Tennessee, it's definitely a win. We're just looking for just fundamentals once again here, guys. We're not looking for anything good. 27.5 points. I wouldn't touch it. It's just one of those games where we're looking to make sure that our fundamentals are still strong. The same progression that we saw from Tennessee carries over into here, and we're just trying to solidify this offense under Graham Mertz, which has looked really, really good the past couple weeks. So we'll see what happens there. We got Ole Miss going to – go ahead.
I keep trying to look and find a way to convince myself to take Charlotte in the 28 points. It's a lot of points, and their defense is terrible.
I mean,
so like Florida could literally not even throw the ball this game and probably just run the ball down their throat and cover the 28. So that's my opinion on it. I'd definitely take Florida in this spot.
We got Ole Miss headed into Alabama. Alabama's favored by 7. I think this is a very, very important game for Alabama. You know, Alabama is on the verge, right? They're on the verge of collapse. Now, what is a collapse on the verge for Alabama? That would be falling out of the top 10, top 15, top 20, anything of that. But what this is going to do is going to affect their recruiting class for classes moving forward. This is a must-win, in my opinion, for Alabama. If Ole Miss comes in to Tuscaloosa and they lose 2 games at home this year, that is going to affect the recruiting class, and I think this is when you see Nick Saban say, doop, I'm going to retire on the Bahamas somewhere. See you later, kids. Have a great life. We'll see what happens. I think the Alabama dynasty is definitely dead. We talked about the NIL and the effects that have on that, and whether these guys can continue to connect with these players. I think that the Alabama dynasty has finally died. Well, we know it's not the dynasty anymore. The Georgia has taken over that throne at the moment, but we'll see if they can at least stay alive here against Ole Miss.
Clayton Cummings chiming in. I know I'm late to this today, but what year did Tim Tebow retire?
Listen, Dickweed.
Last year that Florida won a national championship is the year that he retired. That was pretty much it.
This is what gets you booted from podcasts. This is what Clay. I don't know, buddy. I don't know, man.
Ole Miss, Alabama.
Thank you for your question.
I'm on the Lane train here. Lane Kiffin always has it out for Nick Saban for whatever reason it is. He wants to go in and play him tough. And listen, the Jalen Milroe thing is very interesting. I could see Milroe having a good game, but the whole thing was just very sloppy, right? Like he got benched. Jalen Milroe did. He got benched, and then one of the reasons he got benched was because of his attitude on the field. Then Nick Saban, after he benches him in the game against USF, says, oh, he was so good with his teammates. Now we're going to promote him back to being a starting quarterback. I think Nick Saban's just flying by the seat of his pants here. Like, Milroe can, run the ball, but I know Lane is going to scheme for that. And my thing with Alabama has to do with defense a lot, too. Like, obviously, the offense stinks, and the offense hasn't been good all year, but also you got to be able to stop people as well, too. You couldn't stop Texas. So, listen.
I think Nick Saban's just trying to get through the year, dude.
Give me
I'm telling you, he's gone.
Deion Sanders going to look real good at Alabama next year.
Deion Sanders said he ain't going anywhere. He said he likes it in Colorado.
Yeah, I'm sure he loves it in Colorado, just like Nick Saban loved it at the Miami Dolphins as well, too.
I would have to say that. Why would you want to take over a historic program like that? I'd rather build my own. I know.
Why not?
Well, because you're just always going to be in somebody else's shadows. Well, Nick Saban won 7, 8 national championships. Bear Bryant.
See, that is valid if you're like a offensive coordinator and like an up and coming. Like Prime has his own brand, his own label, his own everything that can stand up to any of that criticism. And you're walking into a situation with like 5x booster money, right? That you have there. You have unbelievable facilities. You have tradition. You have everything. And Deion's back in the South.
Yeah, but the money that he's pumping into Boulder, the money he's pumping into Boulder, they're going to be able to do those things.
You can pump that money in anywhere.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But he's already there. Speaking of prime time, the Colorado Buffaloes go into Oregon plus 21.
Yeah.
I think without Travis Hunter here, this is what everything's talking about. Will they be able to compete without him? He's such an impactful player. Will they be able to cover the spread? I think this is finally where they get their first loss of the year going into Oregon. This Oregon team is definitely not afraid of everything that they bring there. I think they'll be ready for it. We'll see what happens. I think it's just what everybody wants to see, right? They want to see it. Can they continue it? Can they continue? The struggles that they face against Colorado State, that's going to have to be cleaned up 1,000% before you go into Oregon and try to win that game.
Take this number tomorrow at like 1:00, because take it after, game day's over and everything like that, because money's going to steam in on Colorado. Like, everybody's just going to be like, oh, I'm buying in on Colorado. Deion's got this, blah, blah, blah. Deion ain't got this. Not against Oregon. Oregon is legit team. Lanning has them playing really good football right now. The defense is the biggest thing to me, and how that offensive line is going to be able to hold up, and Shedeur Sanders being able to have time. I just don't see it happen. For me, I think this number can probably get to 20. I know it started around 21. I think it gets bet down by game time, and I'm probably going to be parlaying the under 70.5 with Oregon to cover. I don't think Colorado scores very many points in this game.
And the last one that we're going to wrap it up with here is Ohio State going to Notre Dame -3. This is definitely going to be one of the games of the week. I haven't really watched either one of these teams, so I don't really have a hand in this. I just love it when Ohio State loses. So go Notre Dame.
Well, you're going to love tomorrow then, because Ohio State will lose tomorrow to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's entire, they've always had great defense, great running games, great lines. The problem is they haven't had a great quarterback. And so they finally have a guy in Sam Hartman who transferred in.
Brady Quinn?
He is the real deal. Brady Quinn sucked. He is the real deal. And so, yeah, give me Notre Dame money line plus whatever. One of my bets of the week will be Notre Dame tomorrow.
Absolutely. Anything to wrap us up with college football or NFL before we move on there, Mr. Jeff?
Absolutely not.
It's been a whirlwind. We'll have our Circa pits out Saturday. So make sure that you figure that out. Figure out where to find this. We're going to be on Instagram or Twitter. That's where we're going to release those picks. If you're in the Orlando area, come out and see Thomas Memorabilia. We will be there between Friday and Saturday. That's today, tomorrow at the Bahia Shrine Center at 3101 East Cimarron Boulevard, Apopka, Florida. So make sure you stop by and say hi. Maybe there'll be a free little thing there for you, but who knows? We'll see what happens. We got a big slate coming up. But yeah, you never know. You never know what old Santa Claus is going to pull out of the bag. Come out and see us out. We got a big slate of good football on the weekend. I'm looking forward to it. The Bears shocking the world in Kansas City. Whew! The Justin Fields train's going to be back steamrolling. Values are going to go up. There's still a fire sale, though. If you see me Friday or Saturday, come see me. I'm fire sailing Justin Fields.
Buy your Justin Fields memorabilia right now before he wins on Sunday, and that stuff skyrockets in value.
Absolutely. Get it while it's hot. That's going to do it for us today at the Under4 Fan. Everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday for a full recap. Everyone, have a great, blessed weekend.
Be great.
And stay out of the left-hand lane.
That too.